Hey Ginger, this is Brandon Chase.
What's up, Brandon?
Hey, how are you doing?
Crazy today, obviously.
Yeah.
It's like I had no idea what to do. Jeremy Camp, I had an interview with him that was supposed to be about an hour before yours, but he busted his ankle, and so
Oh
he had
no.
been at the ER, but he was still going to do his interviews. So like once he got home, he just started calling them, and I was like 5 minutes into the interview when you called. I was like, oh
Oh,
gosh, he's only
I'm
here like
sorry.
one day, and he's
That's
here.
no problem.
It's like, oh my goodness, he's here Thursday for a concert with Skillet, and he's like the last one we had to interview for the tour, and it's like, oh my goodness, this is like crazy. And I've had his interviews been moved 3 times today, and then Sarah Simmons from The Voice, we moved hers 4 times today, and then we ended up moving it to tomorrow.
Wow.
Eventually,
Wow.
I
You
said,
have had a busy day.
yeah, it's that way. We've had Winter Jam and the road show come through
Yeah.
here. We've just done those, and now Skillet has a new tour out with like Brandon Heath and Mandisa and all these people. So, including Jeremy
Yeah.
Camp. So we've been doing like all those, and then the voice interviews started coming around. So it was like,
Yeah.
wow,
Is
everybody
Chris
just.
August on that tour?
What's that?
Is Chris August on that tour this year?
No, he isn't. It's Jeremy Camp, We
No.
As
Okay.
Human, Brandon Heath, Mandisa, Skillet. And then Peter Furler's on a couple of dates and Third Day. So
Okay.
it's
Awesome.
still an amazing tour. But yeah, Chris August is one of my
Yeah, for
favorite
sure.
people in the universe.
Oh, he's one of mine too. I haven't met him, but I love his music.
He is one of the quirkiest people. That's the best word I can use to describe
He
him.
seems like it. Seeing his Instagram videos and stuff, he seems like it.
Did you see his Halloween video for Candy Rap?
Yeah.
Where he's like
That was
got
good.
ring pops on and all that, and singing
Yeah, that was
about
hilarious.
candy. That, see, to me, that's the kind of Chris August I want to hear more of. I want to hear that
Yeah,
bluesy sound, that R&B stuff that he can do. Acoustically,
yeah, he's
that's what I
so
love
good.
about him. You kind of have that too. Like a little more. You can have a more like that cool acoustic sound that I wish I heard more of from him. Once they produce his stuff and put it to radio, it loses a lot of its luster that he has when he
Yeah,
performs live. And
yeah. I'd love to hear like an acoustic album from him. That'd be awesome.
I love that. I love that about you. I love kind of that raw acoustic stuff. I will say it's not. I'm not just like doing interviews for The Voice. I'm a huge fan of the show. I'm a huge fan of its like the way they put it together, how they are so supportive of the artist. And I actually have a friend of mine who is a worship leader that is on this year's Voice. He's on Team Usher right now. Biff Gore. He's a worship leader,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he's
He did a great job.
yeah, in fact, in June, I DJ'd my niece's wedding in Colorado, and he performed the wedding ceremony. He
Oh,
actually
cool.
married my niece and nephew, so that's pretty
That's
cool.
cool.
He worship leads in my sister's church in Denver, and it's been
Awesome.
awesome. So when he got on it this year, it would just kind of exploded even more. But I'm a huge
Mhm.
fan of it, and I was so glad to see of the people that I got to interview. It was all some of my favorites, like Olivia Hinken. I think she's adorable, and
Yeah, she is
I
awesome.
mean, there's so many cool people that we're going to be interviewing, and I was really glad that they put me with you because, I mean, I know you have like a really cool story behind, like just you, like the fact that you're alive. I mean, obviously
Yeah,
was a big thing. So
yeah.
for people who don't know, tell us kind of the miraculous way God brought you into this world.
Yeah, so a couple days after I was born, my mom was changing my diapers and noticed that I was bleeding, and obviously it raised a lot of concern. And she got my dad, and they jumped in the car and just headed straight for the hospital. And on the way to the hospital, she said she could just feel the life just running out of me on the drive to the hospital. I was starting to, turn colors, black and blue, and I wasn't breathing. She was just kind of blowing in my face, trying to get me to breathe and to be responsive. And she said I was just turning lifeless.
Oh.
And they got to the hospital, and the hospital was going under a lot of construction, and the front door of the emergency room, like where they're supposed to be, it was moved to like the other side of the hospital, and they had no idea, and they didn't know how to get there or where to go. So my mom just jumped out of the car and ran me to the front door of this spot that is no longer the emergency room. And as soon as she flew in the door, right in front of her was the head nurse of the neonatal department. And my mom ran in the doors, like yelled, "My baby, he's not breathing." And this lady, my mom just said she was like an angel, and she just took me instantly and actually just took me straight into a closet, not even like a room or anything, into a closet, and just started working on me. And I ended up, I stopped breathing 64 times in 12 hours. And with that amount of oxygen lost, the doctors told my parents that, they should probably expect the worst, prepare themselves for it, because the possibilities and chances are really high that he will be, mentally challenged. He could possibly be blind, deaf, or any of those things. And, they said he'll definitely never be able to play sports. He'll be slow in learning, like he won't be at the same pace as his classmates. And he's also going to be on machines for at least a couple years. And my grandfather was a minister, and my mom just called him and told him all of that. And they just both, right then and there, agreed that they weren't going to have it, they weren't going to believe it, they weren't going to receive it. And so they just prayed to God, and they just said, we don't believe this is your will, but you would just heal him completely, 100%, in Jesus' name. And it wasn't but a couple months later, I was completely off the machines. I grew up playing sports, and I excelled in them. I was always one of the best in my team. I was always one of the top of my class academically. Ended up graduating high school at 15, college at 17, and it really just blew what the doctor said out the door. And I know obviously it's not anything I did or my parents did. It was just all God, and He just He came into my life and healed me for a reason, so I can be able to stand here today and to be able to share that experience and to show to people that God is real and that He loves us. He has a purpose for each and every one of us.
It's so incredible. It reminds me of, there was a song that said, when others see a shepherd boy, God may see a king. It just shows you how limited, obviously, that the world looks at things, and they only look at what, statistically what could and should happen. And, for us, we can't, I love that you said, your grandfather said, we're not going to receive it. You receive only what God tells you, what He lays on your heart. He doesn't heal everybody, but He also, I think, lays on your heart when He says, no, don't receive that information, and then to not only for you to not be challenged, for you to excel beyond people who had no problems being born, for Him to because that's where He can really shine the most and show his miraculous ways, is to not only is He going to be average and be able to compete in sports or do that. He's going to excel at it too, and then to take it even as a step further, and to have you I see you taught yourself how to play guitar and everything. Is that correct?
Yes, guitar and piano.
And then you start and what other instrument was it?
Guitar and piano are the main ones, and I just kind of pick up whatever else and just kind of mess around with them. But I don't consider myself good at anything else other than guitar and piano.
But you got your start singing in your church worship band, is that right?
I did, yes. When I was about almost 13 going on 14.
So what was like the deciding factor that says, okay, I'm going to step out in faith and go audition for The Voice?
The Voice and like none of the reality competition shows were even on our radar, and we didn't ever really give them much thought. But one day I got an email from from The Voice, and they were inviting me to a private audition, and it was just kind of out of the blue. You know, we weren't expecting anything like that at all, and all of a sudden we get this email, and the timing and everything, it was really good because we were in a season of, you know, what do we do next? What's the next step towards my career, and then the opportunity came around, and it just felt right. And I have some incredible mentors in my life, and a really supportive family, and we all prayed about it, and we just felt good about it, and we decided to go for it and just see what happened. And we weren't going to have our expectations high. We weren't going to, we weren't going to go into it being like, oh, well, I have to win. It was just, however far the Lord wants to take me, that's how far I'll go, and we'll be happy with it, And it ended up being a really blessed thing for my career, and it was just a great experience for me.
What I love about The Voice is Mark Burnett being a producer, knowing Roma Downey's husband, being the same guy that produced the series The Bible, and Son of God, the movie. Yeah. And it's somebody who he actually approached us in Christian music and said, this is a show that I want to be, received by the faith community, as a family-friendly, inspirational, show, and we want to expose that. And so we were kind of shocked, it was kind of out of the blue. I had already been talking to some people, especially from this year, having a friend on The Voice this year, but starting to have some conversations with some of those, and I had some favorites from last year, but then when this year hit, I got real involved with it, and it was kind of very coincidental that he, sent something out to us in media and said, we want to specifically target faith-based, radio and other media to let them know we're trying to produce a very family-friendly and inspiring show. And I think they do. Because I think all the coaches, even when they're critiquing, they're doing it to help shape the artists and their craft. And it's just, it's a show that your whole family can sit together and watch. And I think that's why it's so blessed, is to have somebody that's a believer like Mark be behind it and have everyone be an encouraging type show. And it's so fun to watch together. The dialogue is hilarious between the judges or the coaches, whatever. It's so much fun. So what was it? Obviously you have a love for country music. So was Blake Shelton somebody you just knew you'd want to work with, or did you kind of want to work with more than one of the coaches at the time?
Yeah, I obviously kind of, thought of each coach and just kind of what I could learn from each of them. And, I had no idea, who would turn around for me, so I didn't know if I would even have a choice in the matter, or if I would just, have one coach turn around and be with that coach. And it was just kind of one of those things, like, I decided I'd make the decision in the moment. Because I knew that each coach has something special and different and unique to them and their coaching style that you can learn something different from.
Right.
And obviously Blake being a country artist and me being a country artist, I kind of leaned more towards Blake and wanting to work with him a little more than the others, just for that reason, because he has a little more insight to Nashville and the country music scene, and I wanted to get his take and to just kind of see what his journey was like, because he worked for many years trying to break out as an artist, and it was really kind of almost around the time of The Voice that his career really broke.
Right.
And so just kind of learning from somebody that's literally walked in the footsteps that you're, just now going into, it was just really cool getting to work with him in that aspect.
What do you think you took away from that experience the most? Maybe like with your faith and your music? What kind of seemed to be one of the biggest lessons you learned during that?
It was the whole experience was really such a blessing, and I couldn't tell you how many tears I cried of just pure joy. You know, as soon as the camera stopped rolling and I went backstage with my family, I just bawled. It was just overwhelmed, you know, just because I knew, or just thinking back to where I started and to where God had brought me in that moment. And it's emotional just because you see God's power working in your life, and you know that none of it is by your doing, and it's all Him doing it for you. But I took away, I just took away so much more faith in God, because, you know, there's a lot of stuff that went on behind the scenes before the blind auditions even happened. You know, we were in LA for about 3 months solid before the blind auditions actually started. And, you know, there was a lot of stress, there was a lot of tension, and it was hard at times. And, you know, obviously not everyone, not all the contestants are Christians, and, you know, there's a lot of stuff that goes on, and people do certain things that, you know, aren't exactly things that I would do, or that I believe you should do. But basically, just through it all, the biggest takeaway I got was just faith, because the whole time I just believed, and just kept staying strong, and just knowing that I was in the right place, and that He was going to provide, and He was going to do something incredible in my life, and He did. And ever since then, it's just been continued blessings, and my career has just really opened up, and it all started in that moment, and in that season of just trust and faith, and I've seen so many incredible things happen just holding on to that faith.
And now, speaking of that, you have new music that is out now. It's finally out, correct?
Yes, it just came out today.
Yeah, so
exciting.
Kind of exciting. Now, the single you're releasing is the song One, correct?
Yes, it's titled One. We felt it was appropriate on many levels, it being the very first radio single, titled One. And it's a fun up-tempo song. And you know, we've gotten a lot of really cool, good feedback so far, and just came out today. So we're excited to see what happens with it, and see how radio accepts it.
Now, you're from Texas, correct?
I am.
I am from the Dallas area. I was born in Garland.
Okay.
So,
I'm in Dallas at the moment.
Oh,
Driving home from Good Morning, Texas.
I saw that. I was like, it's cool
Yeah.
because I know the name of the TV station. You know, I know all that growing up in Texas.
Yeah.
So I was like, yay. I mean, there's a lot of great music that comes out of there. Some Carrie Joe, Chris Tomlin. I mean, there's, you know, there's so many great people that have come out of there. Dara McLean's one of my dearest friends, and she's in Arlington. And I saw that you were in Arlington. Are you still in Arlington, in that area?
I am.
Okay.
Yes, I am. South Arlington.
Yeah, I've had family in the Hearst, Euless, Bedford area, and then of course I lived in a very small town about 30 miles northeast of Dallas called Farmersville, which probably you've never heard of.
Farmersville.
Yeah, it's about 10 or 15 minutes east of McKinney. If you know where McKinney is, you probably know where McKinney is.
Yeah, I know where McKinney is.
Yeah, it's like maybe you know, I don't know, 6 or 7 miles from McKinney. If you stay on 380 and keep going east, it's a little bitty town of a couple of thousand people. But yep, definitely Texas lover. I born and raised there, and all my family outside of maybe a little bit in Arkansas, and my sister lives in Colorado, an uncle in Kansas. That's it. Like everybody else is in Texas, and that's awesome. But that's so cool. I'm glad to know you're a Texas boy. You know, I was listening to your music. I thought, yeah, Chris August would definitely be somebody I would put you with. But you know, it has almost like if John Mayer went country. Yeah. John Mayer. He's probably my biggest influence outside of country. Well, or like John Legend. You know, just something about your style, very laid back acoustic, almost lowers your blood pressure to listen to it. I love the song One, I really do. I like it a lot. I'm excited that you're putting music out. I will tell you, even though I'm from Texas, I'm not a big country fan. It has to, it has to be just very good music. Some of the really old, true country stuff I like, but it's really few and far between. And some of I like the band Perry. There's some different styles I like, but yours is something that is easy for me to take as far as country, because you kind of like the male version of Taylor Swift. It's more of a chilled out, not too twangy, but twangy enough for it to be country.
Yeah.
It's right in my wheelhouse. That's perfect kind of country music for me. But I think it's so enjoyable. I hope everybody picks this album up and just does amazing things. I'm glad that you got an album out. I mean, that's one of the hardest things is get that album out. And I know the excitement,
definitely.
it's almost like birthing a child. There's so much labor involved, but once it comes out, you're wanting to show everybody, and share pictures all over Facebook, and it's such a labor of love to do an album. And I know it's also very time consuming and financially consuming. So it's I can't wait to see what kind of reaction that you've had. I know you've had already some really great feedback, but obviously this being the first day, you have no idea what's in store. And if you ever want to come to Michigan, you just gotta let me know. We'll get you set up here.
I have a friend who plays at the University of Michigan. He plays quarterback.
Oh, no, I'm a Michigan State fan. We have to hang up now. It was all good. We had the Texas thing going, and then you brought up U of M. Just kidding. I'm actually probably 20 minutes from Ann Arbor. So I'm really close to where he is. My son goes to Eastern Michigan, which is like right next to U of M. And but yeah, it's an amazing school, and it's an amazing football team. I have to be one or the other just to poke fun at one or the other. So, but I've been more of a Michigan State fan. It's a more farm agriculture school, so I relate more maybe to it. But U of M's an amazing. It's such an amazing sight to watch their football games. No, does he play football?
He does, yes, quarterback.
Oh my goodness! What's his name?
Yeah, his name is Russell Bellamy.
Oh.
He's for the starting role this year.
So you got to come up here for a game, and then we'll throw in a concert.
I want to come. Yes, I definitely want to.
And then you got to make him come. Make him come to the concert. He'll bring a bunch of U of M fans.
Yeah.
And or we can have a concert at U of M. I would be willing to step on U of M turf for a concert if you come up here. Awesome. Right. Really and truly, I actually do event coordination. I manage a few artists. So, I mean, we're always putting events together, and I'm a part of a lot of festivals that we do up here. So literally, if you really do ever plan on coming to Michigan, please let me know.
When we're doing this radio tour, and I'm sure we'll, if not Michigan, we'll be up by Michigan, and we could definitely make a stop in Michigan.
Well, we can bring you in the studio in Detroit. We have a studio in Detroit, and we can bring you in there, and you can sing live on the air or something. We'll make something happen.
Yeah.
So
that'd be incredible. Yeah, can you please forward that info to Tiffany?
Sure, absolutely.
And we'll work that out. That'd be amazing. I'd love to come see you guys.
Well, we'd love to hear you play, and we can, especially because you being a believer. I mean, we could get, we could get a couple of area churches involved to get their students out there, and some of the campus, like Campus Crusade type stuff. There's always Bible study. My son's his is called InterVarsity, but it's kind of like that. It's like in different campuses coming together to do Bible study stuff, and they always love knowing what's the newest event coming, especially if it comes to campus. So that would be something really cool to do, and a lot of people of that age group are definitely people fans of The Voice. And of course, if you
Right.
got it anywhere near U of M and your friend came out, then you'd end up with a lot of U of M fans. Even though there'd be some state fans there too, like myself. We wouldn't get in a. We'd
That's
promise
no
not to get in a
problem.
fight. We'd be all right. That's cool though. What a blessing for
Security
him.
guard.
How did you get to know him? How did you guys meet?
We grew up together. So he and I went to elementary school. We went to junior high together. We would have gone to high school together, but I ended up homeschooling in high school, so I could graduate early.
So
But,
another
you know,
Texan
we were
defected to
best friends growing
Michigan.
up.
We got another
So he got a
Texan
scholarship
that.
out of high school.
That's awesome. So
Yeah.
he's from the Texas area. So I see that eliminates the whole rivalry. He's a Texas boy. That makes him all good now.
Okay, good. I've been
Oh.
worried there for a minute.
Well, I'm so excited. You were one of my favorites this last year, and you get sad every time someone leaves the show, but there's so much talent. I don't even know how.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want anyone to leave. Usually, there's some people that they might not have done as great a performance as others, but in general, they end up with such stellar talent. You really don't want anyone eliminated. So every time
Yeah,
somebody
so
leaves,
It's really
it's
just whoever does better that day.
yeah, it really is. I mean, everybody that makes it. I know following my friend Biff, when we did the wedding out there in June, I mean, he had to leave from the reception to go out to LA, and I was like, when are you ever coming back? I mean, you're right. I mean, it's months that you're together. And his wife was pregnant with their sixth child. And in fact, the day he got called in finally for the blind audition, she went into labor.
Wow.
And, she's like, I got 6 kids. Stay where you're at. She homeschools, too.
Man.
She's like, I got 6 kids to feed. You stay right where you're at and you make
That's
something happen.
full-time job, yeah.
And she did. She went into labor, and then it was awesome. He got all 4 cheers to turn around. So he chose Team Usher. And so I even know like what happens in the battle rounds. I can't say. I don't know how you guys do that. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
everybody's like, well, how's your friend Biff doing? I'm like, he auditioned. That's all I could say for a while.
All you need to know. Yeah.
Yep. And then and finally I could say, now I can say he's on Team Usher. What happens after that? I know, but you can't know yet. All I can say is God's doing exactly
Hard.
what he's supposed to in his ministry.
Yeah, it's hard.
It-
It's cool because last season there was like 60 people that didn't get to audition because the teams filled up so fast, and so I'm seeing a lot of my friends from last season that are getting to audition this season. So it's really cool. It's really cool seeing that.
That's what Olivia Henkin said when I interviewed her. She was like, it was so weird to reconnect with all these people that she had seen that, didn't make it and came back. And then she saw somebody this year that she saw last year. She saw him make it this year finally. And I forget which person it was that finally got it after, auditioning before. But, you make it through so many things, and then you go to casting, and there's so many levels.
Yeah.
People don't realize how many months
Yeah.
it takes. And all of this stuff has been recorded from a while ago, like the blinds were done maybe September. I mean, it's been so long since it was done. It's so weird to watch it now, knowing, even what's gone on in the past couple of weeks. Like, that's not obviously going to be aired for a while. It's just, it's a very long process, but I think theirs is a lot more fair. I like that they don't put people through just to ridicule them. Like, American Idol puts people through because they wear a chicken suit or something like that, where they just let them, like, tear them down. And that's a really horrible thing.
You don't get on that stage if you're not talented.
But even America's Got Talent, they do that too. They let people through they know is not going to make it. But for The Voice, there's people that, everybody that comes through there could make it. I mean, they might have a bad day that day. They might sing a little off key or something in a part that just, it's and unfortunately is, keeps the judges from pushing their button. But everybody is so phenomenal that ever makes it to the actual blind auditions. It's so, I don't know how they how they narrow it down. It's an honor to
Yeah,
finally make it to
crazy.
get a chair to turn around. So I'm glad that,
Yeah.
and it's such a great exposure for the artist. No, even if they never go past the blind auditions, they have that exposure now for their ministry or for their music, and they can take it that step further, because you got millions of people that watch that show, and that's
Right.
you couldn't, it would cost so much money to get that kind of exposure any other way, and it's
Right.
such a great huge platform for you to do that, and I'm excited for you. You're one of them. Definitely I was rooting for, definitely like yelling at the television no, when you were when you were off, so I was like so upset, but then it gets that way, the tighter the competition is, unfortunately a lot of good people go home, but
Right.
you also get a great opportunity. God's timing is flawless. Someone told me that not too long ago, like about a
Absolutely.
year ago, and you have to realize that the very second that you stepped away from the voice was the precise moment that he needed you to. And you never know, because
Absolutely.
a lot of stuff that goes on that does not honor God happens behind stage, and maybe there was that one extra time that was going to hurt your ministry or testimony, or you just never know, or it just might have been something that might have discouraged you, and where you're at is exactly where you're supposed to be, and you keep giving the honor and the credit back to God for the fact that you're even here, the fact that you've been able to do everything that mankind said you were not going to ever be able to do, and that's awesome. I wanted to homeschool my kids. I wish I would have. My daughter would already be in college. She's 18 and she's going off to college. I have a son that's a freshman in college, and then I have a sophomore. And she would already have probably graduated college by this
Yeah.
point had I homeschooled her. But
Yeah.
she was really set on staying in school with her friends, and socially, I think it's been very good for her. So, I mean, she's
Yeah, that's
she's
good.
she's where she was supposed to be, I guess. But then she had like a friend of hers. He was like a sophomore when he was 16. He was a sophomore in college, and I was like, you would be like, she was so smart. I was like, you would be right there. She's like, yeah, but this is where I think I should be. She had a lot of people she ministered to in school and still does, and I was like, there's those people though that never would have known her, and she wouldn't have never reached if she hadn't been where God asked her to be. And
Yeah. That's right.
I'm really excited for you. You're just one of the dearest people I've seen on The Voice, and to hear your
Oh, thank
testimony,
you.
I'm so glad. I'm excited about your new music, and we are playing your song. We are going to play your new song one
Awesome.
on our show, and I hope we're one of the first ones to do it. So we're gonna be excited
Awesome.
to share that with everybody.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time and for having me on the show. And hopefully we'll be up in Michigan soon, and get to come hang out with y'all.
Absolutely. And well, great talking to you. So glad to get to know you, and
Yes, you
what
as
a blessing
well.
you are. A great miracle too. That's awesome to hear that story. What a great mom. Tell her I'm rooting for her. An
She's
awesome
amazing.
mom. She really is. And I'm
Yeah.
glad for your grandfather and for that nurse that took you in the
Yeah.
closet and did as God led her to bring you back to life.
Absolutely.
Maybe what happened is you stopping breathing all those times pumped all this great oxygen into your body to make you be able to belt out these songs. That's probably what happened.
Yeah, maybe. There you go.
Well, you have a very blessed day. Thanks for taking the time, and
Thank
we look
you.
forward to sharing your music and hopefully someday seeing you up here in Michigan. And I'll let Tiffany
All
know
right,
for
that
sure.
sounds good. Okay,
Okay.
thank you. I
Thanks,
appreciate it.
Brandon.
All right.
Bye.